What is up, everybody? Welcome back here to the channel. We're talking dynasty buys today. We're going to be looking at 4 players out there, their advanced numbers, dynasty trades going on in dynasty leagues right now in 12-team Superflex, the most recent trades, update this week, and guys that could be helping you win your leagues out there, especially your contending teams out there. Let's look at some contender buys. So we're going to be talking about DJ Moore first. When you're looking at DJ Moore's keep trade cut value right now, wide receiver 19, comparable to our rankings, is pretty low compared to what we like. Last year we saw him have his best season of his career, probably, especially from a fantasy perspective. 136 targets last year, 96 catches, 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns, and an 89.5 PFF receiving grade, which was the best of his career. When you're looking at that too, hey, top 10 in target share, 29%. You have to love that. When him and Justin Fields are on the field together, they average 16.8 fantasy points per game over 12 games. I mean, that's wide receiver one, high-end production. You have to like that. Now, what's built into his ADP right now and his keep trade cut ranking is definitely that he's got Keenan Allen there, Rome Odunze, Cole Kmet, and then the rookie quarterback. But that rookie quarterback is probably the best quarterback that he has played with. And he is no doubt the number one option on this roster. So I do think that there is a hesitation when there should not be, because I do believe he is the wide receiver one. I do believe he's going to earn those targets. And when you think of Keenan Allen, you're probably a little worried about the hamstring. The injuries have piled up a little bit. He is going to definitely be that slot-ish Tyler Lockett kind of role there, so he can earn some targets. But Moore is their guy, and I think Caleb Williams and Moore are going to have a very, very good connection, especially that deep threat, which you saw DJ Moore basically become in Chicago last year. And he's only 27, right? So when we think of what he is, he just turned 27. He's a young prospect, but a young player in Dynasty. Now, here's his advanced stats. He had one of the best advanced stats of, his career last year. The receiving grade was great. They also use him in different ways, out wide and in slot. So we definitely saw that a little bit more, right? More of an out wide player. Definitely what he's going to be, but you saw that efficiency. ADOT 11.9, 2.31 for yards per out run. Those are things that we like. Only 2 drops all year with those targets. And those are the things that really come into play when you're thinking of DJ Moore and just how good he has been. Now, when you're talking about value, right? What is his value going on out there? What is his value right now in leagues? When we're looking at ours, he's wide receiver 14 for us. We're very bullish on DJ Moore. And I do think, from a contending perspective, look at this first deal. DJ Moore, David Montgomery, Elijah Moore, which is a throw in at this point, for Jordan Addison, Eckler. Eckler's kind of a shell of himself. I do think he could be okay this year, but Addison is a big question mark right now with that rookie quarterback, with Justin Jefferson, with that offense, where you get DJ Moore, Montgomery are 2 very solid pieces that could put you over the top for depth, right? DJ Moore in a first for Baker and Deebo Samuel. Again, Deebo's kind of declining asset. I get a first back for Baker plus a better wide receiver. I'll do that all day. This next one, DJ Moore for Watson and Trey Benson. Again, what's in the box? A mystery box with Benson. Watson, again, cannot stay healthy. You get DJ Moore for that. DJ Moore for Schultz in a first. DJ Moore for Keon Coleman in a second. Moore and a third for Pickens. And again, I like George Pickens. I think he is getting undervalued. However, if I can get DJ Moore in that production plus a pick back, I am totally on board doing that. And then DJ Moore for Jaden Reed in a third. I would still rather have DJ Moore there. And I think that's why he's a buy to me, is because I think his value and his floor is very high compared to the guys that people are trading for. I think people are trying to trade for that ceiling play, where DJ Moore is the ultimate floor guy with boom weeks when he showed he was a wide receiver one last year, averaging those 16.8 points per game with a better quarterback now. And even I think Allen moves on after this year. Him and Rome Odunze will be a great 1-2 punch, and he could be a very, very solid low-end wide receiver one or high-end wide receiver two that you'll be happy with buying for the next couple of years. Now, next guy on the list when we're looking at wide receivers, Cooper Kupp. We're going to keep rolling the Cooper Kupp train here at wide receiver 37. I think he's a value when you're just looking overall. He's 31 in that range. 95 targets last year, but was banged up. 59 catches, 737 yards, and 5 touchdowns. So from a production standpoint, we know he didn't look like himself. We understand that, but he still had his 5 receiving touchdowns, so that salvaged some of his fantasy points per game. But when you think of it, he still had 26% target share. So we saw that moving forward. We know this offense is going to throw the football. We know Puka Nacua is there, but that's really it. They didn't really add anybody of relevancy that I'd be like, oh, they're going to take away, touches from him. Now, there are rumors maybe they're going out and trying to trade for Cortland Sutton or some of these guys, but they haven't done that yet. Cooper Kupp is that wide receiver 1A to 1B with Puka Nacua. And I think based on value at wide receiver 37, he's worth taking a shot on if you're a contender out there. When we're looking at the advanced numbers, he definitely had one of his worst years of his career there. Yards per route run 1.77. That was his career low yards there. And he still had a good target share. Just wasn't there, right? Yak wasn't there. A lot of scheme touches weren't there either. They did go to Puka Nacua, but I do think that familiarity in this offense, what he has with Stafford, that contract really buys you 2 years with Cooper Kupp, and he can still score touchdowns too. So it would not shock me to see him kind of have that Adam Thielen type of value towards the end of Adam Thielen's career, but Cooper Kupp being better, right? Being better there. Now, here are some deals out there for him, and we have him ranked 2 spots higher, so not terribly higher, but I do think if you're a contender, you kick the tires, right? I do really feel that way. Now, when you're looking at some deals, Cooper Kupp and Stevenson in a second for Spears and Nico Collins, kind of capitalize on that Nico Collins value bump. You get that second back as well. I like the deal for both sides here, but again, if you believe Cooper Kupp can come back and be a wide receiver 1 for this year, if you're a contender, it's kind of worth that deal there. Cooper Kupp, Josh Jacobs for Brian Robinson and DK Metcalf. Again, really going for it on the contending side there. I like Robinson and DK Metcalf, but the ceiling play is on the opposite side. Cooper Kupp for Deebo Samuel. If I could, even though I'm getting a little older, if I can pivot off of Deebo for Cooper Kupp, I have more faith probably in Cooper Kupp being a fantasy points per game production for the next 2 years than Deebo Samuel does. Cooper in a first for Zamir and Brandon Ayuk. Cooper for Travis Kelce. Aaron Jones and Cooper Kupp for DK Metcalf, and in Cooper Kupp for a second. If I'm looking at my team and I'm a late second and I think Cooper Kupp could help me put over that top, maybe it's a deeper 11 starter, 10 starter league, I don't mind giving up that second and trying to go for it there with a guy like Cooper Kupp in this offense. When you're looking at depth charts, we have it on our Patreon. We have all the depth charts there. He is going to still earn targets, and he would not shock me to see him get over that 120 targets again. And that's the kind of things you're looking for when you're talking about buys. Where the production comes from, where are those targets coming from? They're going to Cooper Kupp, and you have to love that. Now, let's go running back. We haven't talked about a running back that much here. Devon Achane. Now, let me talk to you about him. When we're thinking of ultimate boom or bust play, it's him. Now, I did write in our free newsletter over on our Substack, you can find below. I did write a lot about him this week. I kind of talked about what Mike McDaniel has talked about in the offseason. And he's saying, man, he expects big things from him this year. He thinks that the training wheels are off. And then here's the thing that he talked about the most. We need to get him the ball in different ways. He has outstanding ball production, and there's got to be opportunities there. What that tells me is he's going to get him the ball in space in the passing game, something that he didn't necessarily do last year. So I think Achane could be one of those guys that really, really steps up for dynasty managers this year when we're talking about value, right? We saw the 103 attempts, 800 yards, the game-breaking guy. 8 touchdowns, 93.1 run grade PFF, one of the best run grades in the NFL last year when he was healthy. And the numbers are great too. When you're just looking at the numbers from a run perspective, 10 plus runs were 22. So that's explosive runs there. Very much a zone runner. That's why they drafted him. You have to like that. Yards after contact was there too, over 500. So those are the big play games that we see from Devon Achane. And again, when you're thinking of like, hey, what's his value going for right now? What are we looking at? Rashad White and Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks is a throw-in at this point. Rashad is very solid, but hey, moving forward, who would you rather have? I'd rather be on the Devon side, right? Devon and Derrick Henry, Stephon Diggs. Again, you're looking at a ceiling play, right? You're looking for that ceiling area there. Devon finishes running back 5 in fantasy points per game, and he just averaged 14 touches. So if they do get him that work in that receiving game, we could be looking at a top 3 finish for fantasy if he stays healthy. But we can't project injury. It's just one of those things. Like people will say, "Oh, he got injured. I told you so." It's bullshit. Let's keep it real, right? Let's keep it 100 there. So when we're thinking of like, hey, if we're going to remove the injury that it could happen to anybody anyway, he's a top 3 play just based on talent, right? So when you're looking at these other deals for straight up picks, Devon for Travis Etienne, Devon for George Pickens. Again, George Pickens is getting valued as like wide receiver 26, 27 in that range. Devon's still at 6 and 8 in that range. So you still are getting value back for him. Wicks in a first, if that's a late first, then you're going to capitalize on the Wicks value bump that we've been seeing lately. Not a bad play there. For straight up for JSN or straight up for the 107. So really his value is that 107. I've seen him move for the 107. So essentially him or Rome Odunze, right? That's the ultimate this year or long-term play of the mystery box there. I'm still on the chain. Like if you want to go out and get a running back, I think he's not appropriate price for what his ceiling could be, right? I think that he is at running back 6 to 9 in that range, and some people look at him a little higher than that or actually lower than that because of the injury risk. But all these guys have injury risk at this position. I don't think he is more predisposed to injury risk than anybody else. And if you need a running back with top 3 upside and you feel like your team is right there on the cusp, a 107, 108, a rookie wide receiver like Rome Odunze is not putting you over the top. Devon can do that. And that's kind of how I look at him as a dynasty asset. Now, last guy I want to talk about, I always want to go a little deeper, right? We're always looking for those deep cut guys that could help you win now this year based on value. And Gus Edwards to me is that guy, right? Why everybody's going after Kamani Vidal, J.K. Dobbins, those guys of the Chargers, in that offense. Gus Edwards might be the guy to go target, right? You saw his value definitely increase, right, when he signed there. But we're seeing now kind of a dip, right, a plateau of that value. And last year he was fine. 198 attempts, 810 yards, 13 touchdowns. Really what Gus Edwards' value is in the red zone. Like you have to have that. Like, when you're looking at that, he had 13 total touchdowns. He does that really well. Very, very is an early down guy, but Harbaugh's going to fall in love with that. Greg Roman and him, early down guy is going to be there. He definitely he's not elusive at all, but he's going to score touchdowns, right? So if you're looking for a very, very solid touchdown dependent, option where he's going to get enough touches and volume, Edwards is your guy. And price at running back 49, that's a price that I'm willing to take a shot on here. Last year, when you're looking at by the numbers, again, you're going to see that missed tackles forced numbers only at 29, not amazing. But 10 plus explosive run plays, 16, not bad. Elusive rating was not there. So we're not seeing that elusiveness in the open field, but we are seeing he does have that explosion at the line of scrimmage and that elusive ability at the line of scrimmage, right? So we're going to see that, and he's going to get the red zone opportunities. He should lead this team in red zone opportunities, right? As long as he stays healthy. So that's kind of where I'm leaning with him. And here's also why I like him as kind of that buy. Demario Douglas and Gus Edwards for Zach Moss. I think that's a very good, deal on the Gus Edwards side for a third, right? A 25 third, a throw in. Gus Edwards in a fourth for Ray Davis. Ray Davis is kind of getting valued as a late third, fourth round pick. If I can get Gus straight up for that, I'd be kind of happy because if I'm a contender, but if I can get a fourth thrown in, right, that, hey, I can kind of off ramp. Hey, Gus Edwards didn't work out. I still have this fourth though that I can maybe use on a running back next year. I'm okay with that. Edwards for Eckler is getting up there in the tiers. Tyler Lockett, maybe pivot off of that. Maybe you don't need the wide receiver help, but you need the running back help. Gus Edwards for Cortland Sutton is a tough one. I would probably lean Sutton there, but I do like to show both sides of deals out there. And then Dilly Lobby in a fourth for Gus Edwards. If you're a contender, you definitely do that deal. Those are 2 fourth-round picks essentially, or an undrafted guy in Dylan for Gus Edwards, who could give you solid production this year for your contending roster. So those are 4 players that I really, really like right now in terms of dynasty and where their value is at, who could possibly kind of help you as a contender win your leagues. But I'm very, very bullish on those first 2, DJ Moore and Cooper Kupp. And I do think Devon Achane, based on value, could be that guy that you go out there and could win your league as a top 3 dynasty running back this year. So appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, hit that like and subscribe button. If you have any trades or any comments, put them in the comment section. We really appreciate everything you guys have done to support us. So keep doing that.